Good day, ma'am. My name is Ladra, a student from BS Term 3A, and I'm here to report and discuss the Chapter 8 of the Legal Aspects, the laws regulating accommodation establishments. The learning objectives are identify the laws affecting the accommodation sector, identify the rights of the hotel guest, explain how quality and safety standards are maintained by hotels and similar establishments by meeting minimum requirements of the law. The topic outline are nature and description of the business, grounds for cancellation of accreditation of accommodation establishments by the Department of Tourism, responsibilities of accommodation establishments, National Building Code of the Philippines, building permits, general requirement of all buildings by use or occupancy, light and ventilation, sanitation, and general design and construction requirement. The law. The Philippine tourism industry is the key economic driver but needs improvements to compete with ASEAN neighbors. A study assesses its competitiveness using 8 criteria, with the country ranking highest in human resources and price competitiveness. However, issues like infrastructure, accessibility, and security remain challenges. Tourist arrivals are steadily increasing, prompting the need for more hotel accommodations. Laws like National Building Code play a crucial role in regulating establishments and ensuring tourism growth. Strengthening these areas will enhance the country's global tourism competitiveness. Nature and description of the business. Business entities engaged in the operation of tourist accommodation establishments may be organized as a single proprietorship, a partnership, or corporation. Hotel, a building that accommodates and services for travelers and tourists. Resort, a place with a relaxing atmosphere that offers lodging, food, and recreational activities for guests. Tourist Inn, a basic lodging facility for transient guests that does not meet the full standards of the hotel. Apartel, a building with furnished or semi-furnished apartments rented to tourists for longer stays with basic hotel-like services. Pension house, a small family-run lodging that caters to tourists, usually operated with non-professional staff. Motel, a roadside lodging with separate units and parking spaces designed for motorists traveling along highways. For hotels, hotels are hereby classified into the following categories, namely deluxe class, known as a 5-star category; first class, known as 4-star category; standard class, known as 3-star category; and economy class, known as the 2-star category. Classification of hotels is based on a number of criteria such as location, bedroom facilities and furnishing, front office or reception service, housekeeping standards, food and beverage service, recreational facilities, engineering and maintenance, service and staff, general facilities, and special facilities. For the resort, resorts may be categorized as beach resorts, inland resort, island resort, or lakeside or riverside resort. Resorts shall be classified as Class 3A, Class 2A, and Class A, and Special Interest Resort. Classification of resort is based on location, environment, parking, facilities and room accommodation, public washroom, sports and recreational facilities, conference or convention facilities, employee facilities, lounge and reception counter, and lighting, furnishing, or ventilation. For the motorist hotel, or known as motel, aside from complying with the minimum requirements for the establishments, operation and maintenance of a motel, all motel are required to keep a motel registry book starting the name, address, and number as the date and place of issue of resident certificate or Class A or driver's license or passport. In addition, the motel management is required to maintain a separate logbook of the plate number of the vehicles or cars used for customers or guests coming into or leaving motels. No motels shall accept for lodging or accommodation any person below 18 years of age unless accompanied by a parent or guardian. Grounds for cancellation of accreditation are providing false statements or documents, or committing fraud to obtain accreditation, failing to follow the terms stated in the accreditation certificate, not maintaining the required operational standards for the establishment, allowing the business or its facilities to be used for unlawful or unethical purposes, violating or ignoring rules, orders, and guidelines set by the department and the other authorities. Accreditation of accommodation establishments by the Department of Tourism. Accreditation by the Department of Tourism is optional but boosts an establishment's marketability. Applicants, whether individuals or business entities, must submit the required documents to secure accreditation, which is the certified true copies of incorporation documents, bylaws, partnership agreements, and business name certificate, latest income tax return and audited financial statements, list of officials and employees with their designations, and mayor's permit or municipal license. Accreditation is valid for 1 year unless revoked by the Department of Tourism. Responsibilities of accommodation establishments. Accommodation establishments must be careful in choosing employees and attentive to customer needs. If they fail to do so, it means they neglect their legal responsibilities as hotel operators. According to the Article 1170 of the Civil Code, if a business is negligent in fulfilling its duties, it can be held liable for damages. For the Article of 2108, Paragraph 4, further states that owners and managers are responsible for any harm caused by their employees when performing their jobs. This means that hotels must strictly follow laws to ensure quality service and avoid legal consequences. National Building Code of the Philippines. The National Building Code of the Philippines establishes modern technical standards for building design, construction, use, occupancy, and maintenance. From the Section 104, General Building Requirements is that all buildings and structures, including the accessory facilities, must follow safe construction principles and be suitable for their intended use. Structures used for manufacturing or production must comply with environmental safety standards. Buildings and their facilities must always be kept safe, clean, and in good working condition. For the section of 105, site requirements are the land where a building will be constructed must be sanitary, safe, and hygienic. If the building is intended for people to live in, it must be located at a safe distance from polluted bodies of water or air, volcanic sites, and other areas that could be sources of fire or explosions. Building permit. Section 301. Building permits. A building permit is required before any construction, alteration, repair, movement, conversion, or demolition of a structure. It must be obtained from the building official in the area where the work will be done. For the Section 302, Application for Permits, to apply for a building permit, the applicant must submit a written application with project details, proof of lot ownership or a lease contract, and the intended use or occupancy of the building, the estimated cost of the project. The general requirement of all buildings by use or occupancy. Section 704, Location or property. For the general, no building shall be constructed unless it adjoins or has direct access to a public space, yard, or street on at least one of its sides. Fire resistance of walls. Exterior walls shall have fire resistance and opening protection. For the light and ventilation, Article 801, General Requirements of Light and Ventilation. Every building must be designed, constructed, and equipped to provide adequate light and ventilation. Following the Civil Code of the Philippines on assessments of lights and view and the provisions of this code, all buildings must face a street, public alley, or a duly duly approved private street. For the Article 806, size and dimension of rooms. Minimum room sizes and dimensions. Room for human habitations must be 6 square meters, 2 meters minimum dimension. For the kitchens, 3.006 square meter and 1.50 meter minimum dimension. And for the bath and toilet must be 1.20 square meter and 0.90 meter per minimum dimension. For the Article 807, airspace requirements and determine the size of rooms. Minimum airspace per person must be schoolrooms. It must be 3 cubic meters, 1 square meters floor area. For the workshops, factories, and offices, 12 cubic meters. For the habitable rooms, 14 cubic meters. For the Article of 808, window openings. Rooms without artificial ventilation must have windows with a total free area of at least 10% of the floor area opening to a court, yard, public street, alley, or open watercourse. For the Article of 811, artificial ventilation systems must meet minimum air change requirements. Rooms above ground used as bakeries, hotel restaurant kitchens, laundries, except in the dwellings, and rooms must have at least 10 air changes per hour. Sanitation. Section 901 of the Sanitation Code states that all buildings intended for human habitation, whether newly built, renovated, relocated, or repaired, must have essential health and safety features. These include a sufficient supply of water, clean drinking water, a proper plumbing system, and an effective wastewater treatment or disposal system. Additionally, buildings must have a reliable drainage system for stormwater, measures for pest and vermin control, and noise reduction devices. Other necessary precautions must also be in place to protect the health and well-being of both occupants and nearby residents. For the general design and construction requirements, Section 1201 states that any building to be constructed must follow the required standards for materials, design, construction methods, and building classification based on its intended use. If a structural design is not covered in this section, it must comply with the National Structural Code of the Philippines, which follows the guidelines set by the Board of Civil Engineering under Republic Act of Number 544, the Civil Engineering Law. This ensures that all buildings are safe, durable, and built according to proper engineering standards. And that's all for my reporting. Thank you for listening.